For 12 years, Isabella Sinclair lived in absolute silence, no words, no cries, not even a whisper, while the world's best doctors told her billionaire father she'd never speak, until the day a poor black boy with a battered violin played a melody that unlocked what millions of dollars never could: her voice. They called her the Silent Princess. Isabella Sinclair, daughter of tech mogul Richard Sinclair, hadn't spoken a single word in her 12 years of life. Not when she was born. Not when she learned to walk. Not even to say mama or dada to parents who would have paid anything to hear her voice. The doctors had theories: selective mutism, psychological trauma, neurological disorder. They'd run every test, tried every therapy, prescribed every medication. Nothing worked. Richard Sinclair had spent over $10 million searching for answers. The world's best specialists, experimental treatments, residential programs. Isabella remained silent. I learned all of this in the weeks I'd been playing violin on the corner outside Sinclair Tower, trying to earn enough for my next meal. I was 14, living in a youth shelter after my grandmother, the only family I'd ever known, died 6 months ago. Music was the only thing I had left. My grandmother had taught me to play on a violin she'd saved for years to buy. Music speaks when words fail, Marcus, she'd told me. Remember that. Now that violin and my grandmother's wisdom were all I had. I'd noticed the girl about 3 weeks into my corner residency. She'd appear every afternoon around 3 p.m., standing at the building's glass entrance with a woman who was clearly her nanny. The girl would press her hands against the glass, watching me play with an intensity that was almost unsettling. She never smiled, never waved, just watched. "That's Mr. Sinclair's daughter," a security guard told me one day, dropping a few dollars in my violin case. "Isabella, poor kid hasn't spoken since she was born. Breaks your heart." I'd noticed she was different, something about the way she moved, careful and isolated, like she existed behind invisible walls. But I hadn't known she was completely non-verbal. The next day, I played for her specifically. I didn't know why. Maybe because she was the only person who really listened, who stood there, absorbing every note like it mattered. I played my grandmother's favorite song, an old spiritual she'd learned from her mother, passed down through generations. Music that carried pain and hope in equal measure. Something changed in Isabella's expression. Her hands pressed harder against the glass. Her mouth opened slightly, like she wanted to say something but couldn't remember how. Then her nanny was pulling her away, back into the building, back into her silent world. But the next day, she was back. And the day after that, 3 weeks into our silent routine, everything changed. It was raining, the kind of cold October rain that cut through my thin jacket and made my fingers stiff on the violin strings. Most days, rain meant no earnings. People rushed past without stopping. I was about to pack up when I saw her. Isabella stood at the glass door, watching. But today, she wasn't with her nanny. She was alone, and she was crying, silent tears streaming down her face, her small fists pressed against the glass so hard her knuckles were white. Before I could think, I was crossing the street, violin in hand. The security guard stepped forward to stop me, but Isabella pressed harder against the glass, shaking her head frantically. "She wants him to stay," the guard said, confused. I've never seen her react to anyone like this. I knelt on the other side of the glass, eye level with her. "Hey, you okay?" Stupid question. Obviously she wasn't okay. "Want me to play something?" I asked. She nodded, eyes never leaving mine. So I played. Right there on the street, rain soaking my clothes, fingers numb with cold. I played every song I knew. Every melody my grandmother had taught me. Every note that said what words couldn't: "You're not alone. Someone sees you. Someone hears you, even in silence." People gathered, passers-by stopping to watch, phones out recording. But I only saw Isabella. She'd stopped crying. Her hands were flat against the glass now, and her expression had changed to something I couldn't quite name. Wonder, maybe. Or recognition. When I finished, something impossible happened. Isabella's mouth moved. Her lips formed shapes, struggling with sounds she'd never made before. And then, so quietly, I almost missed it. Beautiful. The word was barely a whisper, rough from 12 years of disuse, but it was unmistakable. Isabella Sinclair had spoken. The security guard's radio exploded with chatter. The gathering crowd gasped, and Isabella looked as shocked as everyone else, her hand flying to her throat like she couldn't believe the sound had come from her. Then chaos erupted. Within minutes, Isabella's nanny burst through the doors, frantic. What happened? The monitors showed. Oh my God! Did she? She spoke, the security guard said, stunned. The nanny was crying now, pulling out her phone. Mr. Sinclair needs to know. Immediately. Wait. I started backing away. This was too much. I was just a homeless kid with a violin. I didn't belong in whatever was about to happen. But Isabella pressed against the glass again, and I heard it muffled through the barrier but clear. Don't go. 2 words, her voice scratchy and uncertain, but real. I froze. Please, she added, the word coming easier this time. Please stay. How could I say no to that? 20 minutes later, I sat in the most expensive office I'd ever seen, dripping rainwater onto carpet that probably cost more than a car, facing Richard Sinclair. He was exactly what you'd expect, 50-ish, sharp suit, the kind of presence that commanded rooms. But right now, he looked completely undone. Play it again, he said. Whatever you played, play it exactly the same way. Mr. Sinclair, I don't think. My daughter spoke for the first time in 12 years. So I played. The same spiritual, the same melody, while Isabella sat curled in a chair that swallowed her small frame, watching me with those intense eyes. When I finished, she whispered, Grandma sang that. Richard's face went white. What did you say, sweetheart? Grandma. Your mama. She sang that song. Isabella's voice was getting stronger, words coming more easily like a dam breaking. I remember. Before she died, she sang it and said it was about holding on when everything hurt. You remember my mother? Richard moved to kneel in front of his daughter, tears streaming down his face. Isabella, you were only 2 when she died. You remember her? I remember everything. I just couldn't. She struggled for words. The words were stuck, inside, too heavy to lift. But the music, she looked at me. Your music made them light. Richard turned to me, and I saw a man completely shattered and rebuilt in the same moment. What's your name? Marcus. Marcus Johnson. Marcus, I don't understand what just happened, but... His voice broke. You gave me my daughter's voice. How do I even begin to thank you for that? You don't have to. Yes, I do. He stood. Businessman mode sliding back into place, even as tears still tracked down his face. I'll pay you. Whatever you need. Name a price. And there it was. The assumption that everything could be bought. I don't want money, I said quietly. I was just playing music. Then, what do you want? I looked at Isabella, who was watching our exchange with those knowing eyes. I want to understand why. Why my music? Why now? Because, Isabella said, her voice clearer now, your music wasn't trying to fix me. Everyone else, doctors, therapists, everyone, they all wanted to unlock me, like I was broken. But your music just was. It didn't need me to be different. So I could be. CTA has shown. Isabella was silent for 12 years until music gave her permission to speak. Have you ever felt like you couldn't express yourself until someone, something, showed you it was safe? What unlocked your voice? Share your story below. Richard Sinclair didn't let me leave that night. It's late, you're soaked, and you clearly don't have anywhere pressing to be, he said bluntly, but not unkindly. Stay. We have guest rooms. And tomorrow, we figure out what happens next. What happened next was a media firestorm. Someone had recorded Isabella's first words and posted it online. By morning, Silent heiress speaks after homeless boys. Violin performance was trending worldwide. News vans surrounded Sinclair Tower. Reporters called constantly. The video had 50 million views and counting. We need to control this narrative, Richard's PR team insisted. During an emergency meeting I'd somehow been included in. Position it as a medical breakthrough, not a chance encounter. It was a chance encounter, I interrupted. Everyone turned to stare at me, the 14-year-old black kid in borrowed clothes, sitting at a mahogany table with executives. I was playing on a corner. She listened. That's what happened. But the optics are that a homeless teenager did what millions of dollars in medical care couldn't, Richard said sharply. And instead of trying to sanitize that, maybe we should examine why. He looked at me. Marcus, I want to hire you. To do what? Music therapy. For Isabella. Whatever you did, whatever connection you made, I want you to continue it. Mr. Sinclair, I'm not a therapist. I'm just a kid with a violin. You're the reason my daughter is speaking. That makes you the most qualified person I know. He leaned forward. I'm offering you a job, a real salary, room and board here in the tower, access to proper music education, and the chance to help Isabella continue finding her voice. It was too much, too fast. Why would you trust me? You don't know anything about me. I know you played violin in the rain for a girl who couldn't thank you. I know you refused payment when offered. I know my daughter spoke for the first time after listening to your music. Richard's expression softened. And I know you're living in a youth shelter, trying to finish high school while busking for food money. So yes, Marcus, I'm offering you a chance. Take it. Isabella appeared in the doorway. Please stay. The quiet isn't so heavy when you play. How could I say no to that? The first week was surreal. I had my own room, huge, with an actual bed and a private bathroom, regular meals, clean clothes, and every afternoon I played violin while Isabella slowly, carefully, found more words. Why do you play sad songs? She asked one day. They're not sad, they're honest. What's the difference? Sad pretends everything's wrong. Honest admits something's hurt, but you keep going anyway. She considered this. I think I've been honest quiet. Not sad quiet. What's honest quiet? Quiet because words felt too big and scary. Everyone wanted me to talk so badly it made talking impossible. She picked at the edge of her sweater. Does that make sense? Yeah. It's like when everyone's watching you, waiting for you to do something, and the pressure makes it impossible to do anything. Exactly. Her face lit up. How did you know? Because I've been there. Different reasons, but same feeling. Isabella moved closer. Will you tell me about your reasons? So I did. I told her about my grandmother, about being alone at 14, about the violin being my only connection to someone who'd loved me. I'm sorry, she whispered when I finished. About your grandma. Me too. But she taught me that music could say what words couldn't. Guess she was right. She sounds like she was really smart. She was. She'd have liked you. Isabella smiled, the first real smile I'd seen from her. Would you teach me? To play violin? You want to learn? I want to make the honest, sad, beautiful sounds, like you do. Teaching Isabella violin became our routine. She was terrible at first, squeaky, off-key, frustrated. But she kept trying. This is impossible, she groaned after a particularly disastrous attempt at scales. It's not impossible, it's just hard. There's a difference. Easy for you to say. You're good at this. I've been playing for 8 years. You've been playing for 8 days. Give yourself time. She set down the borrowed violin. Richard had gotten her. Everyone always gave me time. Time to talk. Time to adjust. Time to be normal. Time didn't fix anything. That's because they were waiting for you to change. I'm not waiting for you to be different. I'm just showing you how to make music. You'll be good at it when you're ready, not when someone decides you should be. Isabella looked at me with those intense eyes. That's why it worked. When you played that first day, you weren't playing at me. You were just playing. I could join that. I couldn't join everyone trying to fix me. So join this. Play badly. Play squeaky. Play off-key. Eventually, you'll play beautifully. But it all counts. She picked up the violin again. This time, when she played, she didn't worry about hitting the right notes. She just played. It was still terrible. But it was honest. 2 months in, the media attention hadn't died down. If anything, it intensified. The homeless violin boy who gave a billionaire's daughter her voice. Modern miracle. Music therapy succeeds where medicine failed. Marcus Johnson. From streets to Sinclair Tower. Every article mentioned my race, my homelessness, Richard's wealth, Isabella's disability. We were a perfect storm of headline-worthy intersectionality. Does it bother you? Isabella asked, watching me scroll through articles. How they talk about you. Sometimes, they make it sound like a fairy tale. Rich girl, poor boy. Magical music. They don't talk about how hard you're working. Or that you're still in therapy 3 times a week. Or that some days you still don't feel like talking. Or that you still miss your grandma. Or that living here is weird for you. Or that sometimes people look at you like you're a charity case. I looked up, surprised. You noticed that? I notice everything. I was quiet for 12 years. I got really good at watching. She sat beside me. The chef's assistant thinks you're going to steal silverware. The head of security thinks Dad's being reckless. And Mrs. Chen from PR thinks you're a liability because you won't stick to approved talking points in interviews. You're kind of scary when you notice things. I learned from the best. Dad notices everything too. He just pretends he doesn't, so people underestimate him. She paused. He likes you, you know, actually likes you. Not just grateful likes you. How can you tell? Because he asks your opinion. He only does that with people he respects. As if summoned, Richard appeared in the doorway. Marcus, can we talk? Richard's office felt different at night, less commanding, more human. The board is concerned, he said without preamble. About the optics of you living here. About the narrative of a homeless black teenager in the Sinclair family orbit. About potential liability. My stomach dropped. You're kicking me out. I'm not. But I need to understand something first. He leaned forward. Why did you stay? You could have taken money that first night and disappeared. You could have sold your story to tabloids for 6 figures. You could have leveraged Isabella's breakthrough into a career. But you didn't. Why? Because she needed help, and I could give it. That's not complicated. It's extraordinary. Most people, most adults, would have found an angle. A way to capitalize. But you just helped? Like it was obvious. Richard rubbed his face. The board thinks I'm being naive. That eventually, you'll want something. Money, connections, leverage. They think I'm setting myself up to be manipulated by a smart kid who saw an opportunity. Is that what you think? No. But I need to know what you want long term. Because if you want to stay, and I hope you do, I need to structure this in a way that protects both of us. Legal guardianship, formal employment, trust funds. Something that legitimizes your place here, beyond the boy who helped my daughter. I don't want to be adopted or whatever. I'm not offering that. You're 14, not 6. But I am offering a permanent place in this family. Not as charity, as earned belonging. You've given Isabella her voice. Let me give you a future. Before I could respond, alarms blared. Richard's phone exploded with notifications. What the? We ran to Isabella's room. She wasn't there. Check the cameras, Richard barked into his phone. Find her now. Security footage showed Isabella leaving the building 20 minutes ago, violin case in hand. Where would she go? Richard was panicking. And suddenly, I knew. The corner. Where I used to play. She'd go there. We found her sitting on the cold pavement where I'd busked for months, struggling to play her violin with frozen fingers. Isabella. Richard ran to her, dropping to his knees. What are you doing? You scared us half to death. I needed to understand, she said, tears on her cheeks. Why Marcus's music was different. So I came here, where he played when he had nothing, to see what it felt like. You could have asked. I needed to feel it. She looked at me. You played here every day. Cold, hungry, alone. But your music was still beautiful, still honest. How? I sat beside her on the freezing concrete. Because it was all I had. When everything else was gone, music was the one thing that was mine. That couldn't be taken away. I thought I had nothing because I couldn't talk. But I had everything. A home. A dad. People who loved me. I just couldn't see it because I was so trapped in silence. She gripped her violin tighter. You had nothing but music, and you survived. I had everything, and I was disappearing. Your music reminded me I was still there. Richard was crying now, big, ugly tears that he didn't try to hide. Isabella, you were never disappearing. You were always here. Always, my daughter. Always enough. Exactly as you were, but I wasn't enough for you. You spent millions trying to fix me. I spent millions trying to help you because I love you. Not because you weren't enough. Because I wanted you to have every tool, every possibility. But Marcus is right. He looked at me. You didn't need fixing. You needed someone to hear you without demanding you speak. Isabella turned to me. Don't leave. Please. The board wants you gone. I heard them talking. But you can't go. You're my friend, my real friend who doesn't see Silent Princess or Billionaire's daughter, just me. I'm not going anywhere, I promised. Your dad and I were just figuring out how to make this permanent. Really? Hope in her voice. Really, Richard confirmed. Marcus is family now. If he'll let us be. I looked at them, this brilliant girl finding her voice, and this powerful man learning to listen. This family that had taken me in not because they pitied me, but because somehow, impossibly, I belonged. Yeah, I said. I'll let you be family. 6 months later, Isabella performed at her school talent show. She played the spiritual. My grandmother had taught me the song that had unlocked her voice. She played it flawlessly, confidently, her voice joining the violin for the last verse. The auditorium erupted in applause. Backstage, she threw her arms around me. I did it! I actually did it. You were perfect. I was nervous perfect. There's a difference. She grinned that bright smile I'd helped her find. But I didn't let the quiet win. Richard hugged us both. I'm so proud of you. Both of you. The past 6 months had transformed everything. Richard had established formal guardianship, giving me legal standing in the family. The Sinclair Foundation launched a music therapy program for kids with communication disorders. Isabella spoke more each day, finding confidence in her voice. And me? I'd found a home, not just a place to sleep, but belonging. A family I'd earned and who'd earned me back. Marcus? Isabella pulled me aside. Thank you for stopping that day, for playing music, for seeing me. Thank you for listening. For teaching me that, sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is let someone be exactly who they are. Think Grandma, your grandma would be proud? I thought about my grandmother, her violin lessons, her wisdom about music speaking when words failed. Yeah, she'd be really proud. Of both of us. 2 years later, the documentary premiered to critical acclaim. Finding Voice: How Music Therapy Changed One Girl's Life. But the real story wasn't Isabella's transformation. It was simpler and more complex than that. It was about a homeless boy who played violin in the rain, and a silent girl who listened. About 2 people who found each other at exactly the right moment. About a family built not on blood or obligation, but on showing up, listening, and believing people are enough exactly as they are. Isabella spoke fluently now. I'd been accepted to Juilliard on a full scholarship. Richard had become the father I'd never had. But sometimes, on quiet evenings, Isabella and I would sit on that corner where everything started. And we'd play together violin harmonies that said what words couldn't. We were enough. We always had been. We'd just needed music to remind us. Music unlocked Isabella's voice after 12 years of silence. Has there ever been something, a song, a person, a moment that helped you express what you couldn't say, what finally gave you permission to be heard? Share below. Your story matters. To everyone who's ever felt voiceless, trapped, or unable to express who you truly are, you're not broken. Sometimes you just haven't found the right language yet. And sometimes that language isn't words at all. Your silence doesn't mean you have nothing to say. It means you're waiting for someone who knows how to listen.